Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. All right, in our previous video we just finished drafting a pattern for this beautiful ball gown. So the next thing we're going to do is to create the sleeve. So the sleeve we are making for this gown is a puff sleeve. So for us to achieve the fullness we want for this particular puff sleeve, we're going to use the slash and spread method. Okay, all right, so let's begin. So the first thing we need is our basic sleeve. What I have right here is a basic sleeve. So with this, I went ahead to draft my puff sleeve. The difference is just adding extra to this area. That's the difference between the basic sleeve and the puff sleeve. What we have done is to add fullness on this particular area. Then we run some loose stitches for it to puff out. So can you see this is puffing out? This is where the basic sleeve stops. So I hope you can see it. This right here. Okay, this is exactly what I have here. Can you see it matches up? So this is that. So with this, I added extra here to get the puff that I need. All right. So the next thing for me to do now is to transfer it to my fabric. I'll start with the lining fabric. So I'll fold it into two. And next thing I'll place my pattern on it. So I'll place my pattern like so. And the next thing I do is to pin it. Okay, so after pinning it, I'll add the necessary allowance that I need. So for the side here, I'm going to add 1 inch allowance, and for the joining, I'm going to add ½ inch allowance for joining. Okay. So after cutting it out, I'll proceed to cut 2 of this because I need for the other sleeve. You see, so our sleeve is ready, the lining part is ready, so I'll keep this aside. So the next thing I'll do now for the slash and spread, we have to divide this pattern into 2 or 3 or 4 depending on how much volume you want. So I'm going to divide it now into 3. Okay, hope you can see it now. For this type of puff sleeve I'm making, I want the fullness both up here and down, so I'm going to slash it through. Okay, this is 1, this is 2. Can you see? We have slashed all our pattern. If you bring it together, we still have the same thing like this, like nothing happened. But if we open it up, we can see. So the next thing to do is for me to bring in the main fabric. Remember the first one we cut was on our lining. Now I'm going to transfer the spread on the main fabric. So I'll go ahead and fold it down. So I would like to mark a line as my starting point. So afterwards, I'll bring in the first paper. Remember, these are all the patterns with slash. So I'll bring in the first one. It's also good to number it. I put number 1 here. This is 4, this is 3, and this is 2. So I'll place the first one here. And once I place it, I'll pin it down here. So now you have to determine how much space, how much volume do you want in between each of them. So I would like to go by 2 inches. Let's see if 2 inches will work. Or I can do 1.5. So I'll mark. So I'm going to create 1.5 space in between each of my slash patterns. So I'll grab my number 2 and I'll place it exactly on the point I mark the space between the first one and the second one. Okay. So I'll quickly pin the last one, and after that I'll add all my necessary allowances right away. So for here I would like to add 2 inches upward, 2 inches here. I really want this to pop very well. And then I'll begin to add my allowances on this side. I'll add 1 inch allowance. And then I'll connect like so. Can you see? So afterwards I'm going to cut it out now. So I would like to notch this part. I would like to notch this our midpoint because that is where our gathers will stop. So you have to notch it up and also down. Okay, so after doing that, I would like to cut another pattern of this for the second sleeve. So I folded my fabric into two again. I place it on top of each other like this, and I'm cutting it out right away. Remember to notch the necessary points. So now we'll have our puff sleeve. This is the main fabric. You see the slashed one, and this is our lining. You see how small? This is the exact puff sleeve, and this is the slashed one, the one we slashed, so I can get more fullness. All right, so the next thing we do now, I'll go ahead and apply my interfacing on the lining, iron it down, and then we start sewing. So for this sleeve, I've ironed the hairstay. I've ironed it on the lining part. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to run gathers from this point. I'm going to do a loose stitch like so, and I'll stop at this other part. Okay, immediately I get to the part that I've notched, I'll stop. Can you see? So I'll come in with my lining. So I'll place this lining on top of it, the right side facing the right side like so. I'll make sure to match it up, and I'll come in with my pin and pin this. I'll pin this other end too. So I'll pull the stitches to make sure that it aligns to the length of my lining. So I'm going to sew it down now like so. Okay, so I'll do that immediately. Okay, sewn it down. So next we open it up like so and do a top stitch, flip it over to the wrong side, and okay, so this is it. I'll flip it over to the wrong side, to the lining part, so I can top stitch it. So next thing, I'll fold it over like so, fold it into two and sew it down on this part. So I'm going to sew it down on 0.25. Just watch what I'm doing closely. So after securing this part, so the next thing, remember the round sleeve measurement of the child is now that you make sure you put the exact measurement. Okay, so mine is 8, so I'm going to mark at this point. I'm going to mark 4 here. So I'll fold it in like so. Can you see what I'm doing? We're going to sew down on the allowance, all right, the same allowance down. So that is what I'm going to do now. So fold it into two, hold it firmly, and then we'll sew it down. All right, and afterwards we turn it over. Can you see? Can you see how neat it is? We have concealed everything inside. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're also going to run another loose stitch from this notch part round to this part, so that we'll be able to match it up with the original sleeve that we have inside. Okay, so I'll do that right away. So from here now, I'll begin to form my loose stitch like so. You can see I've secured it with pins, and then I put a round stitch around it. So this sleeve is ready now to be fixed in our main bodies. Okay, see the puff, see how full it is both up and down. All right, so this is the end of this tutorial. All right, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.